Welcome back to the Frizz and the Grizz podcast with your hosts, Trudeau and D.
Hello and welcome back to the Frizz and the Grizz podcast. It's your boy Trudeau, and it's Tuesday, October 24th. Thank you guys for joining us live on the Twitch or tomorrow on podcast if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. Good show for you today. It's happy NBA tip-off day, but we're going to talk a lot of football today, unfortunately. We'll get to the basketball stuff later on in the season, we promise. But first, the man of the hour, the Frizzy Frizz. What's good, buddy?
Chilling, my guy. Happy Tuesday, brother, man. Happy Tuesday. I know you've been feeling a little under the weather, man. You going to make it through the show today?
I hope so. If you see me like bounce out of this chair and the headphones go flying, it's because I'm yakking in the toilet. But
fair enough. I'll take the reins if that does happen. The show must go on, as some people may say.
We might find out that this is better when you just talk like solo for 40 minutes about random shit.
You know, I won't go too far with foreshadowing, but it's something I thought about. Something thought about in the future. We'll see.
Honest, like more serious note, I don't know how some of those podcasters do that format. You know, there's a guy like, and he's taking a hiatus right now. You know, Bomani Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Like his podcast is just him like talking for 50 minutes straight. They obviously have breaks in the segments and stuff, but I just can't imagine just staring at myself in a reflection talking sports and other things for that long.
I feel like time flies though, honestly, when you do it. Especially when you do it like effectively. You also they have directors, they have producers, so they have people that are feeding them content. It's not like what me and you do where we work a 9 to 5, we take care of the kids, then we come in and we bullshit for an hour. Like that's their job, is to have people feed them information. They usually got somebody in their ear saying, hey, don't forget to go over this. So it might be a little easier than you'd think, but they also have the time for it. That'd be my guess.
So you're suggesting we quit our jobs and just become full-time podcasters?
Look, man, there's this dude on Instagram that just is showing up on my feed, and he's just saying, you want to become a full-time content creator, quit your job. When you quit your job, you got to put in 10,000 hours of streaming. 10,000 hours of streaming will let you be a professional. Like, he's just yelling at me like all day. And I'm just like, I wish I could, man, but no, I got a family to feed. I can't quit my job.
Boot camp for streamers. Like, I can imagine a lot of those do not go well.
Yeah. A lot of people fall flat on their face. You try to. I enjoy it. I have fun with what I do, but it is not easy, man. A lot of people just like give up at what they do to go full blow, and it's like, if you can, sure, but like I can't afford that shit.
That's just starts a good shout out for the people listening and watching live. We'd love it, and we appreciate you. But we'd love it if you, shoot that follow button to D's Twitch, right? D_Frizz5, or if you want to, if you're watching on Twitch, follow the podcast. Every follow helps, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Let's talk some football. I have a really fun first game to start with, then we'll go over our tier rankings for Week 7. So for those watching live, it's gonna be a bit of a messy transition because there's no way to share like a PowerPoint presentation. So here we go. I know he's gonna be flipping out. Yeah, because I know how you get about the.
You gotta get rid of that thing that says hide, please. Just do that for me.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that helps me out.
So I wanted to do a blind resume game today. It's similar to what they do. And by the way, D, I can't see you or see the comments, so you're on top of that for now. But it's similar to what they do in ESPN a lot, where they have, two essentially silhouettes of players.
Mm-hmm.
You see the stats of the players, and you're like, oh my God, who's player A or who's player B? Who would you rather have? And one of the players ends up by being like an absurd person. And you just realize like, oh, that guy's actually really good. I didn't realize. I kind of wanted to do that with you today because I thought, just looking at what's happened so far in 7 weeks of NFL season, it's felt a little bit upside down. Like, I know the Chiefs and Eagles are really good, and they've proven that so far. But there's some teams that are just like, I don't know what to do with you. So quarterback by resume might be fun. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
All right. And I'll try to explain for those that are listening on podcast. So right now I have on the screen two silhouettes. I know it's pretty ghetto production here. The picture That's all I could find on.
It looks great, man. It looks great. You couldn't find like a silhouette of like a quarterback throwing a football pass.
Dude, trust me, I googled for like 30 minutes. So it's just like two generic silhouettes: QB1, QB2. QB1, 6 games total played, 276 yards a game, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, with about a 60% completion percentage. QB2, very similar, 6 games played, a little less yards per game at 265, 1 more touchdown at 10, 3 more interceptions at 4, and a completion set percentage of fairly higher of 67%. Looking at this, D, QB1, QB2, first of all, do you have a preference of which quarterback you'd rather have right now?
Yes.
And that would be what one?
So preference-wise, not knowing record, obviously, and I feel like it's going to kick me in the ass because of the way I'm going with this. I'm going QB1.
Okay.
Breakdown for QB1 is obviously the games played is the same. A little bit more yards. Granted, it's only 12 more yards per game, 11 more yards per game. But it's the turnovers. It doesn't show fumbles in here, but I'm a big fan of knowing exactly what type of turnovers or what time those turnovers are.
Fair.
And if QB on the left, QB1 has 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, unless he's got like 5 fumbles that have been recovered by the defense, that means QB number 2 is throwing interceptions at their worst times because he's got a great percentage, a great passing percentage, which is good. But then he's throwing an interception, which is most likely it could potentially cost the team. So that's the way that I would break that one down.
And I tried to pair players who are similar running output, so it's not lopsided in that category. Right. Are you ready for the reveal?
Can't wait. Yeah.
So
let's go.
QB1 was CJ Stroud and QB2 is Justin Herbert. I think if you think about quarterbacks and how people have perceived quarterbacks and like the quarterback ranking, everyone's always like Justin Herbert's top 6, top 7 quarterback. CJ Stroud to this point, I know the completion percentage is a little lower, but he's been a great performer and he's almost at the level of playing with Justin Herbert as far as like both players' output so far to this point.
So this is, I mean, it might not even be like a hot, take or anything like that. And this is just based off of the play of where he's at and where other quarterbacks are right now in the league. CJ Stroud is playing as a top 10 quarterback. There are maybe 5 or 6 other QBs right now. Now, I'm not talking about for the future. I'm not talking about like in a Super Bowl moment. I'm saying right now, there are very few quarterbacks that I would take over CJ Stroud. They handed the man the keys. You couldn't name one offensive player besides maybe Dameon Pierce. Like Nico Collins is becoming a household name, but no one knew who the hell Tank Dell was, right? And CJ Stroud is bringing this offense like up to speed. And they're tasking him to throw 40, 50 times per game as a rookie. He broke the record for most completions or attempts without an interception, which usually happens right away. Like Peyton Manning's first pass was a pick 6, right? So like it became the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So I'm not saying that I dislike Herbert, and I know a lot of my talk comes off as like I dislike him like a lot. I just hate the overhype of CJ Stroud is doing this as a rookie. He's 3-3. Justin Herbert's doing exactly what I said. Probably turnovers at the worst times, and they're 2-4.
Yeah, I want to say I was curious that when you were talking, I was looking up the pass attempts. So I want to know if it was just volume for CJ Stroud. No lie, Herbert and Stroud are 1 pass attempt off at this point. So they're throwing the ball the same amount of times. The completion percentage being lower, it's a little I don't think it's a red flag because if you look at the yards per game, it's telling me that Stroud's taking more shots downfield most likely.
100%. Yep.
So and if you're taking more shots downfield, you'd expect maybe a higher interception rate because you're making more risky passes. You know what I mean? I just think it's impressive that he has 1 interception. He's been really clean with a Texas offense that we all thought was really shaky. We thought maybe the strength would be the run game.
Yep.
So I think Stroud, it's crazy. No one really thought Stroud would be the quarterback, like the guy to like lead this class. I mean, I'm sure people did, but everyone liked their Bryce Young and their Richardson. But Stroud's been awesome. And maybe he's the guy that ascends to that top 7 level in a year or 2.
I hope he does. I think he's got the tools. One of the better, if not best. I know it's early, so I don't want to count out Fields yet, but like one of the better Ohio State quarterbacks we've seen in a very long time. Ohio State isn't traditionally known for producing a quarterback, And now they got obviously Fields out in Chicago, who's fluttering borderline leaving that team. But CJ Stroud comes in and he's got the keys. The franchise is his. He's on the Houston Texans for the next like 10 years.
All right, next pairing.
Oh boy.
So these are two quarterbacks that have less yards per game than the last two guys. Both played 7 games, right? The QB1 has 234 yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 3 interception, decent completion percentage, 67.4. QB2, 7 games, 214 yards, so 20 less yards a game, but 13 touchdowns, which is a increase of 5 with only 1 more interception at 4. Similar completion percentage of 66%. So just kind of for those not looking at it and just listening on podcasts, you basically have two quarterbacks. One has 20 more yards a game, but the other one has 5 more touchdowns with just 1 more interception. Similar completion percentage. So overall, they're pretty similar. One just has a better output.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. 7 games mean they haven't had their bye week yet. So I'm trying to figure in my mind who they would be. But when I see something that jumps out on this one is the amount of yards per game they get, but the less touchdowns. Less touchdowns means they typically have a good running game, a quarterback that can get you down the field accurately, obviously 67%, and then just hand the ball off. Not to say that one interception and you have 5+ touchdowns isn't a positive, but I like people that take care of the ball, so I'm gonna go with QB1 again with this one.
Interesting. Here's your results of what QBs they are.
Look at this.
So QB1's Trevor Lawrence, and that was actually a pretty good synopsis because that's kind of how the Jags have eaten this year, running the ball in the red zone. QB2 was Russell Wilson, and I gotta say, I know we like to shit on Russell Wilson for his antics and who he is,
but they are who we thought they.
Wrong button.
Wrong one.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Right, but he's having a pretty decent year despite how pathetic the Broncos have been. Like, I think the Broncos have failed not because of Russell Wilson this year. He has 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a decent completion percentage. It's the team around him. But yeah, interesting comparison.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say I'm 2 for 2 on choosing on this one, but damn, that was a really good spot on pick for it. I don't think Russell is having an awful season this year. I think he's decent. I think he's not the reason, but he's part of. And him not being able to be as mobile as he used to be definitely hurts his game. I think he doesn't take as many risks as he used to. He used to be able to throw the ball downfield to, not Lockett, but who was the ball dude before? Doug Baldwin. He used to be able to throw the ball downfield to Doug Baldwin all the time, right? And like he has better tools now. He's got Sutton, he's got Judy, and he's got a tight end that are decent. He's got better tools, but he's just not the same quarterback. So I don't think he's the reason why the Broncos are failing. He just is part of the issues, unfortunately.
Yeah, the yards per game too is a little damning. 214 is like one of the lower in the league. That just kind of also tells me the coach doesn't really trust him to sling the ball all game. The 13 touchdowns might be just an anomaly here on his behalf.
It might also be the opposite of what I was talking about with Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence is get you down the field, get you into the red zone, and just not make a mistake. Who cares how we score? We're just going to score a touchdown. Russell Wilson is they get down the field and they don't really have a running game, so I have to pass the ball, right? So like you don't really have Jameson Williams scoring as many touchdowns as he did when he was a rookie. I said Jameson Williams. It's not Jameson Williams. Javonte Williams. Sorry. My apologies, Tahi, if you're listening.
To be fair, though, Trevor hasn't been super impressive so far this year, but the Jags team's still pretty good despite it. So it's interesting to keep your eye on going forward. All right. The next one is a doozy. So for those listening on podcasts, I have 2 quarterbacks, just silhouettes on the screen. I'm going to be honest, both have been fantastic. So QB1, they both have played 7 games. QB1 has 293 yards a game, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, with an almost 69% nice completion percentage. QB2, just a slight less yards per game, 288, so 5 less yards a game, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a 69% completion percentage. Honestly, statistically, QB1 and QB2 have been a mirror image of each other as far as what they've done and accomplished as a quarterback passing this year.
Yeah, this is where fumbles takes into effect. If there are any fumbles that are accumulated with it, there's the timeliness of those turnovers when it comes to those interceptions. I know this one's gonna bite me in the ass because one of them's gonna be like Kirk Cousins or something like that, because I think he's like quietly having a good season, but his team sucks, especially without Justin Jefferson. Although they did win last night, right? Then they
Yeah,
get, I think,
Niners without
yeah,
Justin.
they beat the Niners. So here, let me let me keep the trend going and keep it with QB1, but let me find out that it's like Kirk Cousins or like Kellen Mond or some shit like that. Yeah, called it. I knew it.
So D went with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes, literally at this point, passing wise, have mirror image of each other statistically. It's crazy.
Yep. And it's the outcome of the game. And this is, I mean, not of the game, but it's just outcomes of their games that they play, not this game that we're playing. But yeah, Mahomes is next level when it comes to like his precision behind the way he's throwing the ball. And Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. There's
We have
like
a conversation, an
yeah,
honest
what's up?
conversation. I think, have we been too mean on Kirk Cousins for the past several years?
No.
He's good.
He always has been. He's just there's a reason why people say you're elite in the NFL, you're Kirk Cousins, or you're terrible. It's because Kirk Cousins will get you. There are weeks where he is a top 5, top 10 quarterback, and then there are weeks where he's a bottom 25. Kirk Cousins on prime time, I mean, numbers don't lie. There was a time when he was like 1-30 in games that were played at 7 o'clock at night or worse or later. Like it's like lights are shining, and that's what happens in the playoffs. Same thing. Like he gets to the playoffs and he just doesn't perform. So it's like he'll get you wins in the regular season. When it gets to the playoffs or like a very important game, it's when he doesn't really shine. So like, yeah, he can be a really, really good quarterback, and he's good enough to get you to the playoffs, but he's not good enough to get you to the Super Bowl.
I will say an unfair thing that's not listed here is how good the skill positions are around Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I'm sorry, around Kirk Cousins compared to Patrick Mahomes. Like, granted, like Mahomes, he has Kelsey, and Kelsey's phenomenal, but it's just a hodgepodge of wide receivers versus Kirk Cousins, who has without Jefferson, Addison's looking great, and Hawkinson is fantastic as well. So,
Yep.
I mean, I just thought it was a really fun comparison, and I think
I saw it coming. I was like, this one's gonna bite me in the ass.
You kept saying Kirk Cousins, like, goddamn, he knows what it is. Yeah, he's been great. He's gonna be a Pro Bowler this year.
Oh, the word, love that, love the Pro Bowl word.
He's gonna be a Pro Bowler. All right. So number 4, 2 QBs that have had statistically pretty bad seasons, right? Both around 220 yards per game. I'm just going to take the average. The first quarterback has slightly less. Both have played 7 games. QB1 7 touchdowns to 7 interceptions with a 66% completion. QB2 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, slightly low completion at 63.9. Do you have any idea who these could be, and which quarterback do you think would be the superior quarterback?
I feel like one of them is Mac Jones, and I'm taking QB2 because, again, I'm all about turnovers. I can't handle somebody that throws one turnover, is averaging 1 interception per game, let alone involving fumbles. I know that the QB2 has a lower completion percentage at 63.9%, and QB1 has 66. But it's still those interceptions like that, they cost you games. And if you're averaging 1 per game, that means that one of them is going to be a costly turnover.
It's a good analysis. Would you say that though they're pretty similar? Like they're not that drastically different, these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at least you're setting me up with that question.
I know.
But statistic wise,
quarterbacks are going to be then based on what I'm saying.
I feel like one of them is like Derek Carr and one of them is like Mac Jones, just because you're trying to say, oh my goodness. But I'm still gonna take Derek Carr over Mac Jones. Oh man, I love football too much, man, for me to know this shit.
We've spent countless episodes shitting on Mac Jones, and your quarterback Derek Carr is pretty close to being as bad as Mac Jones.
Yeah. The difference is that the offense it actually looks good with Derek Carr. It just doesn't. They don't finish in the red zone. He gets them into the 20-yard into the red zone, and then they kick field goals. So there's a big difference with that. He's also not, as you can see, throwing 7 turnovers or pick sixes that are costing the team.
How do you think the Saints would look with Mac Jones?
Just terrible. I would hate that. Absolutely would hate it. Having an Alabama quarterback as QB1 in New Orleans, I would be so upset. Like if Jalen Hurts found his way into New Orleans, I'd call him a Oklahoma quarterback.
But by the way, for those who maybe you don't know this, D, maybe people in the audience don't know, I found this out this week. I thought I was just mind blown. Do you know that what Mac Jones' real name is?
McCorkle or something?
McCorkle.
Yeah, McCorkle. Yeah.
Little something for those who don't know. McCorkle Jones. That's as soon as I heard his name's actually McCorkle, he's never going to be a good quarterback. He can't be.
He's out on McCorkle.
Get it Kool-Aid McKinstry. No,
I think this is absolutely hilarious that I was able to
nail it.
Like nail that comparison of it being Mac Jones and Derek Carr.
All right, this is the last one.
All right.
Two quarterbacks, pretty mid. Both played 7 games. One has a 260 yards per game average, 10 yards less, 250. Quarterback 1 has 9 touchdowns and 8 picks, 67% completion. QB2, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks, 65% completion. Pretty similar.
Yeah, they're both averaging an interception per game, so that's not something that I could say that I could use it as like a positive or a negative. One of them has a better completion percentage and more yards, meaning they may take more shots down the field and actually dump the ball off. So I'm gonna go with QB1 on this one.
I actually don't even remember what quarterbacks these are, so it should be interesting to me as well.
Nice. Ooh. Look at that.
I mean, granted, this one doesn't. It's Jalen Hurts as QB1 and Sam Howell. So I will say this: like, granted, it doesn't show Hurts' running production. I'm not too sure what his running production has been. I think it's been a lot of just the
tush push.
So it's not a ton of yards on the ground. I just thought this was interesting to point out. Like, even though the Eagles are, what are they, 6-1, 5-1,
6-1,
6-1 now. Jalen Hurts has quietly been not MVP, not great. I don't know if I would say good. He's looked good, but like statistically, it's not great.
Yeah, and I remember I said this at the beginning of the season, like what's considered him taking a step back, and it was like, oh, if he's not an MVP, then he technically he's taking a step backwards, and statistically, like he is a little worse or on pace to finish worse than what he was last year, both on the ground and in the air. I don't know if it's just more of the, let's just get to the playoffs. It really doesn't matter if they're in that mode right now, but it's not costing his team, him not being able to, get that interception to touchdown ratio a little bit farther away from each other. It's not really hurting his team. I don't know if like those interceptions are like at the end of halftime where he's just launching the ball or something like that. I don't watch the Eagles games to be able to put that in there.
I think the Jets game may have really tallied that interception total up. I think he threw.
What he had 3,
maybe in the Jets game, so that really hurt. And that directly cost them a win there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say Jalen Hurts looks great. Like I've watched a good chunk of the game against the Dolphins on Sunday night, and like he's still doing all the right things and making some incredible throws. But I would say this is a step back. He's not producing like he did last year, but it's not hurting the team that much. But also to play devil's advocate, they haven't really been smoking up on the competition. You know what I mean? Like they looked great against the Dolphins, but there's been a lot of games where they've won by smaller margins or kept teams around.
Yeah, it looks like 1 possession or just over a 2-possession game essentially the entire season. The only blowout that they've had where it was multiple scores was Miami, and then Tampa at the beginning of this week 3 when it was 25-11. But that was essentially just it. And yeah, that's a perfect comment right there. Is he doesn't need to play at an MVP level for them to win. Like their team is so talented. He could throw the ball 10 yards and AJ Brown could take it 90. Like he really doesn't have to do too much work out there.
Yeah, the running game looks probably better this year, even with DeAndre Swift. That's been a really good addition.
Swift wasn't bad when he was in Detroit. It was just like underutilized or like improperly utilized, the same way that like Jahmyr Gibbs isn't really being produced back, but before he went down, Montgomery was. It's just very strange, the dynamic for Detroit. But Swift is not a bad running back, and they just picked up another safety, Damiere Byrd. So like the Eagles just keep getting better, and we'll see how that actually turns out. They got Julio Jones, who got a couple passes last night. It's funny. Not to say that he's like the old Julio, but like it's just an extra piece to have.
Yeah, I would probably say they're probably the top dog down the NFC with what's going on with the 49ers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's lose some money with the people.
Here comes we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
This is our weekly gambling segment, which I would strongly advise you guys not to take this seriously because we were perfect last week. A perfect 0-6. That's hard to do, man.
I mean, hey, you typically have the better picks.
Yeah.
I tried to stay away from college, and it still didn't matter. Like every one of my games were terrible picks. I gotta stay away from betting emotionally, according to some of my friends. So we'll see how that lands us this week.
And shout out to Christian in the chat. I think that should be a conversation we have in the future because I've gotten down a rabbit hole recently. I'm trying to get the music back, but I've gone down a rabbit hole of people who have interesting names on their like rosters, like Julio Jones. I forget what Julio's real name is. You can help me out, Christian.
It's a very different name. It's not Julio.
Really weird. But you know, there's guys like I heard about the Squirrel. There's a Squirrel player in college football, Squirrel something. Obviously, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry. So I would love to have a segment at some point of just like looking up the most wild nicknames like of all time.
I'm down. There are some funny ones, man. There's a the quarterback. There's a quarterback that played for Oklahoma that had a very strange name, like General Booty. That's what it was. It was General Booty.
I think
USC. What do you say?
I think that's his real name, General Booty.
It is, but it's still that's still a funny ass name.
I got you. All right, so we went collectively 0-6 last week, which is like statistically, I can't even say the word. That's really difficult because we're going against the spread and basically should be a coin flip every time. 0-6 is really, really difficult. So good for us. We're going to open this up to more sports this week. I'm going all basketball in homage to the basketball season starting. Finally got the music back up. Good God. So I'll give you my picks first. I like these. I'm usually pretty in tune with basketball. Like that's my sport.
Okay.
I'm going to go Celtics. So I'm going all games on Wednesday. I'm taking the Celtics -3 at the Knicks. I think the Celtics are a juggernaut team this year. Best first six in the league combined. You know, starting five in the bench. And I think they're going to try to come out and make a point. Game one. I think the first game's always interesting because teams really want game one.
Yep.
Celtics. I'm taking the T-Wolves. I think they're going to be a surprise team, the Timberwolves, this year. I know they were the laughing stock last year, and they're trying to figure out how to use Rudy Gobert. This team should be a regular season juggernaut because we've always seen the past with Rudy Gobert and Utah, regular season juggernauts. I'm taking them -1 at the Raptors, who've been down. And then my last pick, it's Pelicans at Grizzlies. It's a pick 'em, so it's just pick the winner. There's no spread in this one because it's so close. The Grizz are an absolute mess right now. Obviously, we know what happened with John Morant. And now we have Steven Adams is done for the season. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. Terrible.
So their front court depth's terrible. It's just going to be Jaren Jackson, like Sandy Aldama, some other guys. So I'm going to take the Pelicans. I think they'll be better. Zion's back. They're going to have their core three there with Zion, CJ, and Brandon Ingram. So I'll take the Pelicans in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Oddly enough, I got one of my picks was the same ones that you picked. But I don't mind that Grizzlies Pelicans pick. I think the Grizzlies are going to be very, very, very bad this year because of, unfortunately, their roster situation. Interested to see how the Timberwolves actually finish. Ant-Man did incredibly well in the FIBA championships. So, like, what's up?
I was going to say they finished at what they finished as the 7th seed. The actual 7th seed, they lost to the Lakers with the 8th seed.
Last year, 7th.
So they finished at the 7th seed with Cat missing 70% of the season, trying to figure out how to use Rudy Gobert. And now you have Ant-Man making a leap. I feel like this team's going to be dramatically better this year.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't mind that pick. Raptors are kind of like a weird team. I know they got a new head coach, but they just got like a hodgepodge of random players like Dylan Brooks. They don't have.
You're thinking of the Rockets.
Oh, that Rockets. My bad. You're 100% right on that one. Raptors still have Pascal, but they have Fred. No, do they even have Fred VanVleet? No, he's gone. It's just Pascal and Scotty Barnes.
So the starting lineup: Schroeder at the point guard. I don't know if it's gonna be OG Anunoby. It's gonna be Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl as their starting.
Yeah, not a great five. especially Scotty Barnes didn't really take an extra leap his second year. He kind of just stayed consistent on how good he was, in his rookie season. So I don't mind those picks. And obviously I didn't talk about one of them because one of them was mine. So I'll start that one off of the top, and that was the Celtics Knicks. I think this has got blowout written all over it. -3 for the Celtics. Give me that on the road. At the Mecca, this is a game that you could probably see Tatum opening night try to go off for 40 or 50. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, look, I just want you guys to understand. I don't care if you still have, Randall. I don't care if you lost out on Giannis. I don't care if you lost out on Dame. We still run the East. And I think he could go off at like 40, 50 points and try to have like his best game of his career at the Garden.
I think this is a big game too with the Celtics where they want to put their foot on the neck of a team and just be like, yeah, we're the Celtics. Like, we're the best team. One other thing that I found interesting, I was listening to a lot of basketball podcasts today. A lot of basketball analysts, like people who have the ability to vote in these awards for the end of the season, sexy pick for MVP, Jason Tatum. People really like the Jason Tatum MVP run this year. How do you feel about that?
Not bad. I don't think it's a bad pick. If you got the money to throw on it, I think that would be good too. We were talking about him being an MVP last year. I think there was like parts of the season where he was escalating himself into that talk, and it kind of faded away. But yeah, I think this is a year. Look, I already talked about how I feel about the Celtics. Their season is dependent on not the Jays, which I don't like. I don't care for that. I'm kind of scared for them for that. But if Jason Tatum can carry this team the way that we think he can, yeah, I could see him being in the MVP talk. They get a 1 or 2 seed. Absolutely. If he's averaging 28 and 8, 28, 8 and 5, you know what I'm saying? Like that's MVP level if you're the number 1 seed or the 2 seed.
So another thing too is, Embiid repeating becomes difficult because he's always a guy who misses games. There's now a 65 game limit. I feel like Jokic is probably their best competition. His best competition as far as MVP. It should be interesting. Who are your other 2 picks? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. It was an interesting talk, especially for that matchup. I'm really interested in watching that game. I'm going back to the NFL for this one though. I'm going to go Ravens Cards. I know that we've been talking about. I know it's 8.5 for the Ravens. I'm still going to give the Cardinals that 8.5. We had talked about like the Cardinals being scrappy. They've actually looked pretty bad the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So I think Lamar and their offense has looked really good. We're not talking enough on how good the Ravens offense actually looks. I know that they didn't score too much against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and like that was like the hindrance for it. But the Cards, the last 5 have lost by double digits. So like each game, like they got blown out by the Seahawks, they got blown out by the Rams, they got blown out by the Bengals, and they got marked by the by the 49ers. We were talking about them being scrappy because they had played decently close games, and then they beat the Cowboys. But since they beat the Cowboys, they've been on the downtrend. So like I'm gonna go with give the points to the Cards and say that's gonna be a double digit loss for them.
I hope so. My only concern is the Ravens have been one of those teams that are kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. They'll look like world beaters one week and then back to, doing silly mistakes the next week. If the Ravens and Lamar, especially Lamar, because obviously we know he had a great week, can kind of string together some really nice performances and really build on it, that would be awesome for them.
Oddly enough, one of the big reasons why I think that they blow them out is because it's in Arizona. I think it's turf. I think the Ravens or Lamar Jackson is much faster on turf, so you just know you don't. I don't think it'd be easy to stop him in specific situations.
By the way, completely unrelated to the podcast. What if I told you I have Lamar Jackson in fantasy and still lost this week?
How many points did he put up? He put like 50, right?
Yeah.
That means the rest of your team is dog shit.
No. I played against Mahomes and Kelsey.
Oh, that's tough. That is tough, man. That is tough.
So, all right, last pick.
Last but not least, I'm going to flip it back to basketball. Probably next time I do this, I'll do basketball, football instead of back and forth. But I'm going Bucks and 76ers. I know this is a close one where it says it's 5.5 for Philly. I think Philly is in some serious trouble right now.
The Harden's not going to be there.
Yeah, the situation with Harden is not getting any better. I think Dame coming out of Portland with his first game, against Philly, got something to prove. I think Giannis has also got something to prove to be like, look, like I understand that Boston did X. I understand that, other teams might have done Y, but like the league goes through me. And he at some point is the best player in the NBA. So I think this is another one of those prove 'em games. 3-4 weeks from now, no, not even January, February, right before the All-Star game, 5.5 point spread on the road. No, I'm not taking the Bucks. Tip-off week, yeah, I'll take them.
And we didn't even talk about Giannis signing that extension, the big extension that was kind of hanging over the Bucks. He's there for another 2 years at least, and then player option the third year.
Still lines up, but we'll see. We'll see what the actual like move is for Giannis.
I was thinking about this today on my walk.
You just take walks?
Well, I have a dog, so like I walk.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I thought you just like,
shit.
How's everything going in the world?
It makes me like Giannis more, and not because he stayed, because he gave them an ultimatum, said, hey, like, I want to win and I want to get better. And he didn't tell them who to get, and they did what he wanted. And you know what he does? He could have waited till next offseason and got a bigger contract, like more money as the CBA or like the revenue share goes up, right?
Yeah, cap.
So he would have made more money if he waited. But he's like, you know what? You did good by me. I'll sign right now with you before the season. Let's get this done. So like, mad respect to like just be the type of guy who's just like, you scratch my back and I'm not going to forget about what you did, and I got you as well.
You know who also did something like this, very similar, and then he won a couple of championships after? Kobe Bean.
Kobe Bean.
R.I.P. baby.
I knew you would have to sneak in a Kobe reference with your leg. Your Lakers getting their ass beat.
They're getting fucking smacked.
Must go in that direction. Wait a minute. Holla, holla. All wants to know where they go.
All right, last thing of the day, a little more NFL. We did get to talk a lot of basketball just there, so that was fun.
Yeah, a decent breakdown. Obviously, we'll have a little bit more next week, but not a bad one.
Yeah, I feel like talking basketball right before all the games tip off on night one doesn't make a lot of sense because nothing's changed since the entire offseason. So we'll recap some of the action next week. The last thing we want to do is we've been putting out every week on our Twitter, or what is it, X now? I forget.
Yeah, just say Twitter. I'm not calling it
Twitter.
X.
I think it's at Frizz and Grizz. We've been doing a tier ranking every week after the NFL week wraps up, and D wanted to dive into some of these tiers from this week. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm the one who does the. I'll get rid of the little scrolly thing at the bottom, but I'm the one who puts out the tiers. So I don't know if you have a beef with something I put down here, or if you just want to dive into some of these. But I'll let you open the segment because it was your idea.
Yeah, my first one was like, I even said it on Twitter. I bit my cheek, so it sounds like I'm talking with a lisp. Like I am. Like I bit the shit out of my cheek earlier in the show. The random one, like we just knocked the 49ers from Super Bowl favorites all the way down to like getting concerned. I don't put them in the same area as the Bills, and the Dolphins lost to the Eagles. So like I wouldn't even be concerned with them either. So I was just kind of, not gonna say confused, but like curious as to why you would think those three, or at least the Dolphins and the 49ers would be in the same concerned level as the Bills.
So the 49ers, it's back-to-back weeks that they've looked very they went from being a juggernaut to now looking like mortal. And it's a little concerning because now there's questions about Brock. Is Brock Purdy that dude? Like, what are the 49ers when their skill guys get injured? That defense has not looked great against, at least last week against the Vikings. They lost to the Browns, lost to the Vikings, two teams that were like meh about. No one thinks they're Super Bowl contenders. It's just the concern is back-to-back weeks of losses. You can't be a Super Bowl favorite if you go rattle off two losses. I'm not saying I'm out on the being potential Super Bowl contender, but it's like I look at them now and say, I felt so confident in you 3 weeks ago, and now I'm looking at you and wondering, are you going to be one of those teams that have the second, maybe your second seed and get snuck up on by the 6th seed or lose in the second round of the playoffs? I don't feel as confident. And the same thing with the Dolphins. They look like world beaters against really bad teams. Right, they've smacked up on really bad teams, but when they play good competition, and the Bills and the Eagles, they look super mortal in that offense this week. That I think this is the first week under Mike McDaniels where the Dolphins have scored under 20 points, and it makes me start to think: can this Dolphins team, especially against teams that want to punch you in the mouth, right? Can they play that kind of tough bully ball football. Our team's going to bully them in the playoffs when it gets cold outside, and you're going to want to run the ball. And can they do that stuff? Because they're sexy now, but when it comes to getting punched in the mouth, how are they going to respond? So again, like, I'm not saying that these teams can't win the Super Bowl, but it's like I felt so confident about these three teams, or at least the two you're pointing out, and now I'm a little shaky on them.
And yeah, I think you make good points with both the 49ers and the Dolphins, where we weren't expecting them to have two losses like this, the way that they did get those losses, especially the 49ers back to back. I think that it's really, really hard to win in the NFL. Like, it's extreme.
Can I put one more point before you get
on? Every time you do that, I got to look down to make sure that like I'm not muted
fine.
or something.
Just one more point. Starting to get concerns, like almost for me, it's like a holding pattern. Like, I need to see one more week to see, like, am I downgrading you or am I putting you back to Super Bowl favorite? It's kind of like I don't feel comfortable putting you with the Cowboys, but I also don't feel comfortable putting you with the Eagles at this point. So it's like it's a holding pattern.
Maybe that's a little bit more of a better interpretation, because like I took it as like we're concerned about them like no longer being a favorite of like winning the Super Bowl. And like like I was just saying, like it's extremely hard to win in the NFL. Like any given Sunday is a real thing. Any team can beat you. Everybody's a professional athlete. And I think the 49ers are going through a rut, but I don't think that makes them a bad team. I don't think it even puts them in the level of the Cowboys. I think they're upper level than that.
They're better than Cowboys. They're still above them.
In the Dolphins, I think, they've lost 2 out of the last 3, and I understand they beat, bad teams, and when it's good teams, they struggle. But it's same thing. Like the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender, and the Bills are a team. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about them being Super Bowl contenders. So like, I get what you're saying. I'm just not ready to raise the flag on them being a concern, because I think I might have even mentioned you wrote the Browns being better without Deshaun, jokingly. But the Browns are one of the best defenses in the NFL. What's that?
Am I serious?
Joking. I mean, it's here. It's both. It's both. They might be better without him, honestly. But like that defense is incredible. Like I said it weeks ago. I don't even know if we put any money on it, but I was like, Myles Garrett might be the defensive MVP.
How's he still? He's still not the favorite to win that award.
I don't know. Well, somebody said it online on TV. Yeah, somebody said it on TV, and it was so spot on. He said that if Myles Garrett wore a star in his head, he'd be talked about like TJ Watt, and it's so true. And it's like he's a freakish athlete. He's having an incredible season, but because he plays for Cleveland, nobody's going to really give him credit. And their defense is played stellar this season. They have made good quarterbacks look very, very mid. And it's a credit to like it's a credit to the way that you can't take him serious, man. Like why even display that comment? But you can like that's how this team is. And I really do think that, I'm not at the same concern level as the Dolphins and 49ers with the way they've looked the 2 of the last 3 weeks as I am with the Bills, who looked very, very bad against a very, very bad team.
If I could put like a subdivision of playoff teams that's also starting to get concerned, I'd put the Bills there. Like, I don't think I feel the same way about the Bills, Dolphins, and 49ers. But it's like if there was a second tier of getting concerned, the Bills would be below them in the second tier. But I'm also concerned about them as a legitimate team because Josh Allen, while he does amazing things, he also does Josh Allen things and turns the ball over. And he's in that funk right now of being extremely reckless with the ball.
When are we gonna? I mean, I know I bring this up all the time, but like, when are we gonna stop talking about Josh Allen being elite? Like, a lot of people have talked about this, or at least they throw this in there. Where hold on, let me finish this. We will pick and prod and find ways to make it seem like Lamar Jackson didn't deserve his contract and why he didn't deserve his money. But when it's Josh Allen, but look at the arm talent. But look at the size. Look at how he can just run through defenders and leap over people, but then come up short in games that he should win. But we talk like it was a God-given miss that he went into overtime with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Like, we're hanging on to that instead of like everything else that surrounds Josh Allen.
I think Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are elite in the same way. And when I say that, I mean they both have elite, like greater than Mahomes, elite level of peak. Like their highs are so high,
Mhm.
but both of them have the same Achilles heel where their lows are so low. And both of them lack consistency, where Josh Allen does the dumb Josh Allen things, and then Lamar Jackson just happens to make the worst mistakes at the worst time. And it's like both of those guys, while they are elite, they also have lower floors, in my opinion, than your Mahomes or even your like Tua is elite in the fact that his floor is so much higher than a lot of those other guys. His ceiling's not as high, but that's fine because he's not the guy who's gonna make the backbreaking mistakes. It's just
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
so just a couple movers. I put the Ravens up to playoff teams. I think they deserve. They were in the hunt before, or I think they were not a solidified playoff team. The Ravens look great. They deserve to be there. Left the Lions there. I don't know if you're cool with that one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Lions.
Even though they lost, I mean, they're still a good team. We both think the Ravens are good. Jags, Cowboys. You could argue the Cowboys, but I think they'll be fine. Better without Deshaun Watson. I mean that. The Browns are good, and they're better without Deshaun Watson. He came in, completed one pass.
It looked bad.
Looked bad. Got a concussion, quote unquote. But he passed the concussion well.
No, look, there's something you could tell. There's something wrong in the locker room when your quarterback gets knocked out, even if it was just for a split second. Right, you bang your head up against the back of the turf. Not a single player went to go pick him up. I don't know if you caught that, but like not an offensive lineman, not a wide receiver. Like the referee was like, "Get up." Yo, man, we got a football game, man. Get up. Like, no, I was like, come on, man. Like, you guys can't do that on TV. Like, somebody go help the man up.
Nah.
I felt so bad. Like, for an instant, I was like, I don't really feel bad because it's Sean Watson. But it was hilarious that not one person came to help him up when he cracked his skull open on the ground.
Let me ask you this: if that quarterback on the Browns wasn't Deshaun Watson, who they paid $250 million to trade all those picks, would he be guaranteed a starting job right now? Because I would say if it was anybody else without that name and that kind of asset, that many assets are tied to him from the organization, they would be looking elsewhere already.
I would say that, but then we might have, Daniel Jones come and take Tyrod Taylor's position when he's healthy. So like it really is all about the money. If you're paying somebody, you have to play them. That's just how it is in sports, especially in the NFL. Because I can promise you, as soon as Daniel Jones, even though the Giants look better with Tyrod Taylor, if Daniel Jones is healthy, Daniel Jones is playing because he's the $200 million man.
Sunken cost fallacy, my friend. You know what that is?
Nope, never heard of it.
It's basically like if let's say you buy a stock for like $100 and it goes to $50, it just keeps tanking. You don't want to sell because you're like, well, I'm down $50, and you end up with that stock going to zero because you feel like you invested something in it and you can't give it up without getting that investment back. And I think that's what we're seeing we're going to see with the Browns for many years, where they just are not going to let go because of what they've tied to that man.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win.
Exactly. That mentality. It's like that guy at the casino that just goes bust. What else is I like that the tier of one of these awful teams have to make the playoffs. This is the NFC South.
Yeah, the NFC South outside of the Panthers, which you wrote dumpster. They're all the way at the bottom. Yeah, man, I don't understand how all three of those teams have the chance to take advantage of winning that division, and then they just don't. None of them show up. Baker did Baker things. Carr blew it in the red zone, and Bijan Robinson for some weird reason just chose to not play. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know. To be fair, they said he was sick. But after the game, he's just like, yeah, I was out there, and it was my time. Coach didn't call my number. And I'm like, Coach didn't call your number. You're the first round overall pick. What you mean? Call your number. Tyler Algier out there out rushing you.
Can we also talk about how they've taken the football player known as Kyle Pitts and destroyed his career as well?
Oh my goodness. The sad part is like the excitement that happens when he does something. It's like, no, he's a gifted athlete, but like he caught a touchdown pass and they're like, first touchdown pass of the season, Kyle Pitts, and on National Tight End Day. It's like, or like we could just talk about him being undervalued and underused in Atlanta. Like that's the more important thing. But yeah, I feel bad for him. I don't think they trade him. I think he's just one of those. He gets the free agency 4 or 5 years into his career, and then he goes somewhere else.
If that Falcons team had a different coach and an actual NFL quarterback. They'd be really fun to watch because they have good skill position. Drake London's good too. Their wide receiver.
Yeah, their running back, room is really good, whether it's Robinson or Algier. They even got Cordell Patterson back there. Like, they're decent. They don't really have a defense. AJ Terrell is their best player, essentially their corner, but like they're fun. They're young, right? They've been rebuilding post Matt Ryan, and it's just tough that nobody in the NFC South wants to win. The team that has the most veteranship and the better roster is playing the worst out of all of them. That's the Saints.
Yeah, as a Saints fan, how do you feel right now about what's going on with them?
Not good, man. Not good. Not great at all. 3-4. I think this is one of those you're gonna see a 10-7 team win the division, or like a 9-9 or 9-8, whatever it is, 9-8, which is ugly. They get a home, they get a home game because they win the division. They probably win that home game and then they lose in the second round.
It's tough, and the Bucks. I mean, we had no expectations, so it doesn't really matter.
I told you Baker does Baker things.
Anything else different? I moved the Vikings from, I think, mid or like scrappy to in the hunt.
I wouldn't really go. No, I wouldn't go that far for it. I think you play off of the momentum of
3-4 in the past 4 weeks, I think, or something like that, or 3-1 in the past 4 weeks. Excuse me.
Yeah, the 3-4 total. So it makes sense for you to think that, but I think you're going to see the depth become an issue. And I know that Addison and there's another wide receiver that they have too. Can't think of his name, but they look decent. But I think you'll start to notice teams will adapt to, once they realize that Jordan Jefferson isn't on the field and they can actually double team Jordan Addison. I think that's when you'll start to see them start to slip a little bit. I think that's. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say there's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 teams in the hunt category.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let me just do some quick math. So there are 7 teams in each conference that make the playoffs.
Yes. That's 4 division winners, 2 wild cards.
And we have in our tiers, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams that are locked in the playoffs, which means we have 5 extra spots. So one of them is going to go to the Bucks, Saints, or Falcons. So that is 4 extra spots. We'll give 1 to the Browns just for the fun. So it's 3 spots. There's 5 teams in that tier: Bengals, Vikings, Rams, Steelers, Seahawks. I want you to assign the 3 teams of those 5 in the hunt that would make the playoffs, in your opinion, and the 2 that would miss.
Bengals, Rams, Seahawks. I hate that I have to say Tomlin misses the playoffs, but that is a really, really tough division. We said at the beginning of the season that it was going to be a tough division. Ravens, Bengals, Browns now, and the Steelers. And then secondly, I don't believe in the Vikings, unfortunately, but I think the Seahawks have a decent team. I think they can squeak in right behind the 49ers. I think the Rams have a good team. They can squeak in behind the Seahawks. They could get 3 teams out of the NFC West. And then the Bengals, I think, are a lock for a wild card team right behind the Ravens.
So continue to play devil's advocate for my beloved Vikings. Now, I'm a big Vikings fan. I love Kirk Cousins now. They do get to play the Packers twice and the Bills twice. And I don't know what the rest of their schedule is like, but they've already played the Chiefs and they've already played the 49ers. So I'm guessing their schedule going forward isn't that bad. They have a real shot.
The Lions have to play the same schedule too. So and they got to play the Vikings. And if you're going to balance the 2 teams, are you taking the Vikings or are you taking the Lions? You're taking the Lions. So that would mean one team has a chance of going 5-1, and the other team doesn't.
Yeah, I was trying to look up who they play. I mean, one could slip in as a wild card. Oh, this is this is the remaining schedule, right? I know this is not really fun for podcasts. You just give me win or loss and be fair, please.
Okay.
Packers.
Win.
Falcons.
Win.
At Falcons.
Win.
Home against the Saints. I know you're going to say loss.
Yeah, loss.
At the Broncos.
Win.
Home against the Bears.
Win.
On the road against the Raiders.
I think they could lose that game.
I'll give them
just because it's a road game.
Away at the Bengals, I'm sure you're going to take the Bengals in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Lions twice and the Packers at home. You gotta give them one Lions win.
Yeah, I was gonna say split with the Lions, and they won against the Packers on the road. I think they lose the Packers at home.
So you're giving them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. 2, 3, 4,
6 wins.
6 wins. So
6-5 lets them finish
9-8.
I'm not saying that they can't, but that like somebody from the NFC West is going to have 10 wins as the 3 seed.
I'm gonna let's place a bet right now. I bet you that the Vikings will make the playoffs.
All right, there's a regular, gentleman's bet. Let's take that one.
All right, that'll be a bet for the season. Anyway, do you like the tier that I made that of fans about to talk themselves back into Mac Jones?
Not only are they about to talk them into Mac Jones, but get the duck boats ready, boys. We're the best team in the AFC East now. Shut up.
Have you heard that yet? People starting to defend, because everyone is out on Mac Jones now. People starting to defend him after the Buffalo win.
No, I don't surround myself with that talk and nonsense anymore. Thank goodness. But I could only imagine how many people in New England were like, "We're back! Like Mac is the real deal. I told you he's just had a bad rut, and wicked." Like I don't know why I just said that. That's kind of messed up. But dead ass, I'm out, been out, and I don't think just because you have one good game, and did he even really have a great game? I think he just did. He chose to not screw up as much as Josh Allen. That's how they won the game. Is he made less mistakes than Josh Allen did,
which seems more of a indictment on Josh Allen than anything.
Exactly.
I will say, that's one reason why I don't bet on the Patriots or bet against the Patriots. Excuse me, because Bill Belichick's always good for one of these wacky games that he pulls off a massive upset.
Absolutely. So, my apologies. Mac was 25 for 30 for 2 touchdowns. So, he played pretty good. Played pretty good. But no, thank you. No, thank you. Hey, here we go. McCorkle. He's out. Out on McCorkle. Consensus is that Mac still blows.
All right. So, I should remove them from the fans about to talk themselves back into Mac Jones tier.
Specific fans will
I will say, if you're a Patriots fan, you don't want the Pats to fuck around and get a couple more wins and
exactly
lose the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Look, there's a quarterback who fell flat on his face this past week, and it is right up the alley for the New England Patriots. His name is Drake May. He's going to go to the Patriots. He's going to be like the 4th pick, maybe the 3rd quarterback taken, and it drops right into the Patriots' lap, right around picks 8 through 10. It's that saying it here that the Patriots are going to draft Drake May.
All right. The last couple changes, I dropped the Chargers to mid. They were in the hunt. I'm done with the Chargers, man.
Tell you.
That's the Chargers is that team that just keeps teasing you. And you're like, ooh, maybe. Ooh, look at them. They're sexy. And they just every time they just slap you in the face. It's just I can't trust the Chargers, man. I just can't. I don't know what they need to do. They
get rid of the coach.
The coach
Staley is ruining Josh Herbert. They just make dumb decisions that are Justin Herbert. My apologies.
You made Josh Allen. Imagine that if you could combine Josh Allen and Herbert.
Yeah. Well, they both throw the same. They have incredible arm talent, so I'll give you that. But no, Staley is not good as a coach, and he plays the analytics game way too much, and it costs them certain situations. So I'm out on them. Always have been. As long as Staley is the head coach and Herbert is the quarterback with that combo, I'm out.
I feel like the only team else I want to just say, and I don't know if I'm being overly mean to them, but when I saw Brian Hoyer take the field for the Raiders, I was like, nah, they go in the dumpster. That's it.
Well, they belong. The Raiders are just, all it took was one DUI and it screwed up that entire franchise. Not to say that they weren't like that already.
DUI?
But
you mean they got killed?
Yeah, I'm saying everything that involved Henry Ruggs III, that whole franchise. Even if you look at the history behind that, they had their last 20 first-round picks. One of them was on their roster in 3 years, and not a 10-year span. In 3 years, they had 20 first-round picks, and only one of them was a rostered player. That just goes to show you that their organization is just a shit show. Incredibly new stadium for them to put a terrible product out there.
Anything else you want to discuss on the tiers?
No, everybody else's ass. The Bears, the Titans, the Giants, the Broncos country, trash. Cardinals, trash. Even being out here in North Carolina, I hate to say it, but the Panthers, trash. Like, tough. But those teams are just very, very bad. Glad to see the Texans and the Colts get up there with their with their teams, and the Commanders. Like I said, they might be a fighting chance, but everybody else, no, thank you.
All right, let's segue to the last segment. Good show, short show, but still good show nonetheless. I got a Josh Dobbs shout out in the chat. I like that. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll talk a lot more football. I think we're going to be here on Wednesday because next Tuesday is Halloween. That's a fun holiday. Yeah, so we'll be back on Wednesday for you guys, and we'll definitely be talking some NBA hoops. But before then, let's get out of here right.
The show is coming to an end. But first, it's time to get to anything we've missed. It's closing time. 1 segment, 2 takes. Now go.
All right, let's get out of here with a couple things. I don't. This is not my closing take, but did you see the Dwight Howard story? By the way, you're on mute, buddy. I don't know how you muted yourself.
Yes, I did. I do it because I don't want to hit something while I'm dancing over here. But yes, I did hear about it. He admitted it at least. Hey man, everybody likes their own thing, so I'm not gonna be mad at the man for liking his own thing. He's just.
There's some illegality with that, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't hear that part.
Some of it may not have been consensual. We'll just put it that way.
All right. Well, I'll
just put it this way. You can look it up on your own. There was a grown man dressed up as a woman named Kitty. There's more to that afterwards.
All right. Broncos country.
Let's ride. No, I just wanted to closing out on a little baseball. Weird baseball playoffs so far. I don't know if it's the first time it's ever happened. It's the first time I've ever seen it. Texans Astros series went to 7. It might have been the first time ever in the ALCS NLCS round that both teams, neither of them in the 7-game series won a home game.
Oh,
very bizarre. But yeah, so we have the Texas Rangers in the World Series, which is kind of a huge shocker. And potentially the Diamondbacks, depending on how this Phillies Diamondbacks games goes tonight.
Rangers beat the Astros?
Yes.
That's crazy.
By the way, there was a fun story about that I wanted to tell you about if the Astros happen to make it to the World Series. I guess I can mention it now really quick. It was game 5. You know how baseball players get, the pitches get thrown around and they get all pissed off, want to fight someone. They want to fight someone. So the Texas Rangers are up in the 8th inning. They're up by 2 runs at this point, right? And the Astros pitcher throws and hits the Texas Rangers batter. Man on second right now, it's first and second. So, the Astros are already down. They don't want to be hitting someone on purpose. Obviously, the Texas Rangers guy takes exception to it. Wants to pretend fight everybody. It delays the game for 25 minutes. Right? Guess what? That bozo who delayed the game, the Texas guy, his pitcher's sitting on the bench for those 25 minutes getting cold. Guy comes in the game, gets shelled for a 3-run home run. They lose the game in the 9th.
Good karma. Good for them. Good for him. I can't stand baseball certain times, bro. I really can't. Just those little things like that. Just it really grinds my gears. Ugh.
What do you got for your closing?
I didn't know if you had anything else. No, mine is actually really simple, really quick, just so you can get up out of here. I want to give a big shout just because the season's over. The Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back champs, women's NBA. We said that they were, an absolute wagon during the regular season. They finished 34-6. Asia Wilson won MVP, I believe. And they just have a stacked roster. So it was really good to see, the coach, what's her? I'm so sorry. Now I can't remember. Yeah, Becky Hammond just, post leaving Pop in San Antonio and, get a couple of championships under her wing. I think that they have something going really well in Las Vegas. And I think in 2 seasons, we're going to see, the college product come into the WNBA. So I'm really interested to see the new wave of talent with Angel Reese out in LSU, and there's the kid from UConn. She's really good. I can't remember her name, Sabrina something. I'm terrible, man. I'm exhausted, and I still got to stay up for 2 league games tonight. But overall, just want to give a big shout out to Las Vegas Aces back-to-back championships. That's not easy to do in any sport. So big shout outs to everybody that was on that team for it.
You really sold the WNBA product by
I'm exhausted, bro. I know this team. I was talking about college. I don't know anybody in college, unfortunately. I told you Asia Wilson won MVP. I believe there's
Asia Wilson.
Kelsey Plum. She didn't?
Of the league?
No, of the finals.
Okay.
No, I knew that. Brittany Stewart won MVP.
Brianna
Stewart. My God, dude. Let me live. Brianna Stewart. Stewie. All right. That's all I know her by.
Stewie out
in New York. She won it. And she's playing with Sabrina Ionescu. Oregon product. Kobe product. Ugh.
Do you have any more names you want to butcher before you get out of here?
Not even. Get up out of here.
All right. Hit him up, buddy. Tell me to do all the good stuff.
Do all the good things before we get up out of here. No, we appreciate you guys being here. I know it was a rat-a-tat-tat show. A lot of things going on. I'm glad that my boy Trudeau was able to power through his sickness. Was able to talk through this lisp that I have for biting my cheek at like 10 minutes in. So please, if you guys get a chance, check us out on all of our platforms. Hit us up on the social medias. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. YouTube, obviously, we're on Twitch, _Frizz5. We do have our own website, frizzandthegrizz.com. If you can hit us up one day, we might have some merchandise. No, he keeps saying that we're not going to have it, whatever. But please, y'all, make sure y'all take care of y'all mentals. Make sure y'all take care of y'all physicals. Take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all children. And we'll catch y'all next week on Wednesday. Happy Halloween, goons.
Spooky.
Broncos country, let's ride.